Hi, welcome. It's Elena. And before we go any further, I cut my hair. I freaking love it. Even though I've never had short hair, I somehow feel like this haircut fits my personality better, you know? So, hope you guys like it. But this video is not about my hair. It's about my March TBR. This month, I'm going to let fate decide what I'll be reading. But sometimes fate needs some help, right? So I have created this adorable little game behind me. So here's how it's going to work. This is my TBR board. It has 5 rows, and each row has 10 scratch-off cards in it. I made these using little scratch-off stickers that I found on Amazon. I actually happen to just already have these. It's one of those things that as a librarian, I just already had. You know, the classic librarian tool of scratch-off stickers. So there are 50 total cards here. 20 of them have the names of books I have a physical copy of, books I own but haven't read yet. Another 20 are series that I'm in the middle of, and some of those are doubled up. For example, I've only read 2 of the Throne of Glass books, and there's about a zillion Throne of Glass books. So Throne of Glass is in here twice, and if I draw both cards, I'll read 2 additional Throne of Glass books. Does that make sense? And then there are also 10 cards that are just prompts. Some of these relate to the book bingo board in my reading journal, and some are just fun prompts that I thought would be interesting. So that's how the board is set up. I plan to go through each row twice. I'm going to end up with a total of 10 books, which I've never read 10 books in a month, okay? If I read 10 books in March, I will be so impressed. But I do think it's possible with the rate that I've been reading recently, and I want to challenge myself, you know? So I thought it would be fun to really up the ante in March. So the way I will decide which scratch-off cards to pull is this beautiful spinny wheel here. This is also something I just happened to already own as a librarian. So I'm going to spin the wheel, and whatever number it lands on, I will take that number. Why is this hard to explain? So for the top row, I'll spin, get a number, and take that number scratch-off card out of the board. This card is number 1, this card is number 2, this card is number 3, all the way to 10. I'm going to go through each row twice. You get it. In this manner, the spinning wheel and fate will decide what books I'm reading in March. I'm hoping for a fantasy-heavy month because I just finished up reading 5 cowboy romance novels in a row. You'll get to hear more about that in its own separate video. So I'm hoping that I get a lot of fantasy books out of this, and either way, it will help me get through some of my TBR books and finish some series that I'm in the middle of. So I'm really excited. I think this is gonna be so fun. And before I get started, if you like this video, if you like this concept, if you like my new haircut, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's find out what the first card I'll be pulling will be. Okay, that was dramatic. Just barely, it is on the 2 side. And row 2. Okay, we got 1. Is this thing rigged? Like, am I crazy, or is it always gonna end up on 1 or 2? It was in fact rigged. It was spinning to the same side every time. But I have solved that problem by taping quarters onto the back to more evenly distribute the weight and using red cardstock to elongate the little pick thing. I am gonna keep the results of the first 2 spins. And now we are on round 1, row 3. Okay, 7. Okay, row 4, 10. And row 5, round 1, 6. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back through every row now. That is an 8, 10, 2, 3, and 4. I have my scratch off cards. Let's go see what's underneath these bad boys. I've got my Aldi quarter here for scratching off purposes. And let's see what we got. Okay, the very first one is a theme, and the theme is non-Greek mythology. The themed ones I'll come back to, and I'll show you what I pick. Okay, the next one is Hamnet. I am really interested in Shakespeare, so I'm very interested in this. Yes, I'm so happy about this next one. It is Skyward. Looks like I'll be starting Skyward this month. Okay, now we have a thriller, The Final Girl Support Group. Oh my God. All right, and the next one is a series I haven't started yet, but really want to, The War of Lost Hearts. And my other theme card is a New York Times bestseller. Another physical TBR, we have The Wizard of Earthsea. Oh my God, another The War of Lost Hearts. So I'll be reading 2 from this series this month. Okay, and next we have Shadow Speaker by Nnedi Okorafor. And the very last card. Oh my God, guys. Letters of Enchantment. I'm reading Ruthless Vows this month. Yes, I really wanted this one. I'm gonna go gather all of these books up. I'll be right back. Okay, here is the stack. All right, let's go through these and see what is in store. So first we have the first Earthsea book from Ursula Le Guin. This is a classic fantasy series. It's about a sorcerer, and it's kind of his coming of age story. He starts out like as an arrogant youth. He accidentally unleashes this terrible thing upon the world, and then I guess he has to do something about it. That's all I know so far, because obviously I have not read this yet. But I think this is gonna be such a fun read. Next we have The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. Thrillers are not always my jam, but I think this one I could really like. It's about a bunch of final girls who have been through something horrible and traumatic and were the only survivor, and they have their own little support group, but then somebody starts picking them off one by one. Sounds spooky, sounds like it's gonna keep me up at night. We shall see. Next we have Shadow Speaker by Nnedi Okorafor. I adore Nnedi Okorafor, so I'm sure this will be no different. It's a science fiction fantasy story about a girl who goes after her father's killer, but I think she also hates her father. And also there's something about a desert magician. So I guess we'll see. All right, and for my non-Greek mythology based story, the theme that I pulled, I decided to go with Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Ademi. I read this when it first came out years ago, and I've been wanting to reread it. Lately, it's been on my mind so much, and I've heard the third one is coming out quite soon, so this seems like the perfect time to jump back into the series. I spoke about this in my science fiction and fantasy books from Black authors video in depth, so you know, check out that video if you want to hear what this book is about. And then, oh, I'm so ready for this. I will be starting Skyward. This is Brandon Sanderson's YA science fiction series. It's non-Cosmere, and I'm caught up on the Cosmere books now. So it's time for me to delve into his other works, and I've heard great things about this one. I don't think I could ever love it as much as I love Cosmere books, but who knows? And next we have Hamnet. This is an old library copy that I picked up on Thrift Books, and this focuses on Shakespeare's family, in particular his wife. I've heard it's amazing, and I am a big Shakespeare fan personally, so I think I'm really going to like this. And then I'm holding up Divine Rivals, but I will be reading Ruthless Vows, the sequel to this. I loved Divine Rivals. Like, I loved it. However, it did end on a hell of a cliffhanger. So I have a lot of feelings going into Ruthless Vows, but that will definitely be happening this month. I'm so glad I pulled this. Okay, and then I will be reading 2 books from Carissa Broadbent's The War of Lost Hearts series. Carissa Broadbent wrote The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and I freaking loved that book. And if she can make me feel that way about a vampire Hunger Games scenario, I'm sure she can make me feel that way about this series too. And best of all, they're available on Kindle Unlimited, so I've just downloaded them to my phone and I can't wait to get into this series. And last but not least, we have a New York Times bestseller. So what I've done is I've just gone to the New York Times bestseller website, had a little scroll, and there are a lot of options that intrigued me. I've been hearing a lot about The Women by Kristen Hanna. It's a historical fiction focused on the women of the Vietnam War. The Heaven and Earth grocery store, Erin read it and she absolutely loved it. She thought it was so interesting and unique, so that could be fun. Honestly though, I think I'm gonna pick Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I have never read an Ali Hazelwood, but Erin has. And she hasn't exactly given them glowing reviews, but I want to know what all the fuss is about because I know a lot of people really love her and it features vampires and I like vampires. So this could be the Ali Hazelwood for me. Okay, that wraps up my TBR for March. This was so fun. I feel like letting something or someone else pick my TBR is incredibly appealing. You know, I get decision fatigue and this way I didn't have to choose at all. And yet I feel like I got exactly what I wanted. Let's see if I can read 10 books in a month. Subscribe to the channel so you can see what I think about all of these books. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments if you think I'm going to like them or not. And until our next video, see you soon.